Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am creating 3 easy to make Christmas cards using the Merry Mice for Chibitronics from Lawn Fawn, as well as the outside in stitched star stackables and the sentiment strips from Mama Elephant. I first cut out 2 A2 size panels, and from one of those panels I am die cutting the largest outside in stitched star stackable from Lawn Fawn, and I am just making sure that it will not be shifting in my Sizzix by adding some purple tape. And now you can see where those 3 cards are coming from. You have that die cut star, then the panel missing the star, and then another panel where I'm using that first panel as a stencil to get that star on top of it. So because you're using one panel as being a stencil, it actually goes really quick to create these cards. I'm going to start with my blending, and for the blending I'm using mustard seed and dried marigold. And I am just blending on the edges of the star so that it sort of glows with that white in the middle. After all the blending is done, I will also be adding some splatters using exactly the same distress inks, being mustard seed and dried marigold. Now that I have everything blended and the splatters are added, I can continue with my images. So as you can see here, I stamped the images from the Merry Mice for Chibitronics from Lawn Fawn multiple times, and always the same. I'm going to use the same scene 3 times because I think it's really cute. And this way it's just I wanna show you how easy it can be to create some lovely cards which are truly simple and quick to make. So I am coloring here my images. I will only be showing you each color combination once, otherwise this would be a really lengthy video for exactly 3 times the same coloring, so I'm not doing that. I am putting my caps on the side so that you can see which colors I am using, and I will be back after all the coloring is done. Now that the coloring is done, it's time to take the matching dies and die cut each piece. And then I can start on creating the little scene that I am going to reproduce for these 3 cards. So for the scenes I decided to keep it really simple, being that Christmas tree in the middle and then there is one mouse that is trying to get that star on top of it, and then the other mouse is really helping and directing where it should go. And alongside these scenes there are also, of course, some Christmas presents. But yeah, that's the idea behind the scene. There are many other possibilities, and maybe I will make them as well, but for now I decided just go with the same idea but create each time a slightly different card, and this I did with my background. So I am using some tin foam squares and I am assembling everything. Now that everything is assembled, I can start thinking about the sentiment, and therefore I took a sentiment out of the same stamp set, and this colored cardstock that you can see is from Gina K Designs, and it's called Slate, and it's just a really lovely gray cardstock. I was doubting whether I was going to put the sentiment on some black cardstock or on this one, and I actually really like this one because it's dark enough to stand out, but it's also not that harsh as the full black cardstock, of course. But as I am making 3 cards, I am stamping this out 3 times using Versamark clear embossing ink, and I'm going to use my Nouveau embossing powder called Glacier White. It's a really lovely embossing powder that is melting really smoothly. So if you have stamped something not that good, then sometimes it even helps you get your things embossed perfectly even in that case. But I must admit it's a quite thick embossing powder, so I also really look at what I am embossing when I'm using this one. I know in my opinion that Lawn Fawn has quite a thick script, so you can use a thicker embossing powder. But then there are other brands like for example Hello Bluebird that has a really fine script, and for that case I wouldn't use this embossing powder. But just so you know, I'm really happy with this embossing powder. I really like the result, so just in case. So I'm using these sentiment strips from Mama Elephant, and the smallest is just a bit too tiny for this sentiment, so I'm using 2 bigger ones. I'm die cutting these 3 sentiments, and then I will be using these strips once more to also get a good finish at the other side of the sentiment, but you will see that later. So here I'm popping out these sentiments, and as you can see, the right side of this sentiment is not that gorgeous as the left, so I'm just fiddling it back inside that strip, making sure that it is aligned inside of it, and I will run it through again so that I have that finished detail, finished border more also on the right side of the sentiment. And once that's done, I can adhere these sentiment strips. And then my 3 cards will be finished. So I hope you all like this card design and that I have showed you that it's really easy to create multiple cards when you have just one lovely design. If you have any questions, you can leave them down below. I will answer them as quick as possible. I'm so thankful for you all to stop by my channel. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you will be back next time. Bye!